What's up, beautiful people? Let's get blissed out. Shining the Light podcast series. Here we go. A little bit of music. Grandmother, speak to me. So just a little bit of intro with that sound and that sound therapy I was using in my morning yoga. I wanted to bring as a connector, Life Path 8 of how I move and how I groove in the network. I've got my wonderful brother, soulmate, amazing teacher for over a decade in my life, Andrew Rezmer on the other side of the computer here. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
And I've been having these thoughts, to really bring to the community through all the years that I've worked with Andrew Rezmer and the things that I've been watching and I've been growing and I'm learning. There's so much to leading a conscious community and reflectively being challenged by him to do my own work, and with all of the friends and fans and opportunities I've had to work in different events. As I grow, I also want to thank and continue to grow with reflecting him and his opinions about today's topic and series is going to be about Shining the Light podcast, community growth topics. So one of the major community growth topics that I have learned by watching Andrew grow, bring me out to events, being a part of his events, whether I'm promoting them or I'm sharing in them and watching and learning, is joint ventures. And so him and Karen had put on one show at one time where I really felt the juice and the nectar of that event was how can we connect our wisdoms together and how can we consciously grow as a community. And I want to get a little bit feedback through back and forth of Andrew's take on joint ventures and how he sees it, learn with him and grow with him. And likewise, for all the listeners that are either in BlisstOut Network, Conscious Living Radio, Conscious Living Network, we have Unite, we have so many platforms that this video is going to go out in, is to know what it is to be a great leader, but also to be internalizing that on a conscious level and what comes with that success. So I feel Andrew's the greatest person in this area in the topics that we have, to truly get those juicy nectars and experiences from him. So this podcast series, the intro is very important so that you understand where we're going with this in Shining the Light, because it evolved through discussion already. I have met with Andrew over a week ago, and I really wanted to find my way with how the universe was guiding me with, joint ventures. How can we really grow better together? And this is where we're going to start again together.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry about that. My video got interrupted, and hopefully it comes back here quick. Looks like we're getting interrupted. Hold on a second.
To start again?
Yeah, maybe. Hold on a second.
Okay. I'm going to move my camera then.
Hold on. Oh, there I am. It's okay. We'll continue because as we flow, we grow, and I'm okay being spontaneous. Viewers, if you see any errors, it's Zoom. It's information that we want to get out there, and it's the people that are accountable by showing up that want this information. So, Andrew, why don't we get into, I want to pick your mind on these topics, and I just want you to be yourself and how beautiful it was when I was talking to you last, and what your feelings are about what is a joint venture agreement and how you see it.
Well, and again, thank you so much for the introduction again. It's going to be difficult to live up to your descriptions of me, and I want this to be a discussion where we both are asking questions and trying to collaborate and create a joint venture in finding some directions or some maybe bright spots in the space that is not that lit just yet. And this is all related to the fact that in the West, especially where we live, collaboration or any projects that involve more than one party are based, and the distribution of the outcome of this collaboration is based usually on money. It's usually based on contribution to a joint venture is measured by how much profit that joint venture has created. And there has to be some kind of measurement. That's unavoidable. But profit is not all there is. If everything is just measured by money, by profit, by control, by power, then sooner than later we are going to destroy this planet, we're going to destroy ourselves, we are going to put end to humanity as we know it. Because you can't measure, for example, environmental pursuits because it's not money, and reduction of carbon or saving trees. There is no money being generated in that yet. It's essential for our survival as a species. So what is joint venture? Joint venture is when two or more parties, there could be people, organizations, businesses, join their efforts in a common goal. They want to achieve something together. They have a common direction that they want to work, and each party contributes whatever their expertise or resources are to achieve that common goal. And both you and I, we are more, I think, motivated, inspired, or passionate about community-related projects, environmental projects, society-related projects, health, alternative health-related projects, relationships, consciousness raising activities. And those projects are not, or it's difficult to measure them using the same measuring stick that is used everywhere else. So I think it's essential to have those type of conversations. Not necessarily I'm going to have much answers to it, because it varies, it depends on so many different aspects. But I hope that our conversation will inspire others to start having those conversations as well, and maybe creating contributions to this with you or others to this topic of how do we create conscious joint venture that is not necessarily measured by money or power or control.
So nicely said. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, the things that you're saying in between there, though, is while you're rising a community or you're being guided to connect a community effort, and we're all seeing that collectively vibration where there's so many people out there. Like, as soon as I made that intention to grow and to learn, I had the ability to know that you had your real estate. And so I went in there as your friend and as your student, and I really could see like the stories were more powerful as to your expertise of learning real estate and then transforming it into your service, the service that came through it, or the life moments of you just being you. And then me making a decision, well, there's so many people for me to learn about real estate with, but I saw, something from somebody that's so dear to me that was just like, well, I did all this hard work already. And I saw that didn't get me what I needed. So why should I go back that direction and become a realtor? What did I really get at the nectar of your crane or your community contributions to real estate and as you grow? And that's where I felt you asked me, well, where was my niche? My niche was like finding my niche first, because I had to really come back to, well, what's my purpose? And my purpose is rooted in my transformation from my breath, my transformation from my yoga, the calling of source energy, which has no price. It has no number that can show people how here and now we can be so connected to our answers within. And then, well, what do we do with that power, leading consciously or reflecting consciously, is knowing that there's communities to build. And then you see it's happening all over Vancouver. You have ordinary love life where two people are just growing and learning alone, which is very important. But then you see people are expanding consciously and living in communal housing, thinking about the environment, growing, like making smaller homes and having an ability to also do festivals together, and then taking on that communal conscious growth. I mean, Earth Song was doing that too, and that connected to me. So, this is why it's important for me to have these question answers with you, is because you've done a lot of really great work. And there is fine print where, the duties and obligations of each party come up, the financial contributions are come up, the services, the breakdown of how to lead a really good community, the purpose of the venture. Our purpose, my purpose with you is that, yeah, it's always been like glue, and it showed up and it keeps growing. And I'm so grateful for that. But I am so humbled by your approach, knowing that there's something within you, in your leadership, that really wants people to know about the light and shining the light here. So let's shine the light a little bit more about your experiences, with joint ventures, and like how many you've done, and how you would suggest a community to really take some finer steps together.
And thank you for reminding about some of my projects like real estate, because I think that's a very interesting concept in itself. What is real estate? Those are spaces that we created that are essential for our safety, survival, and there's price related to accommodating land to needs, building infrastructure. There's cost related to building an actual housing or structure on the land. There is cost related to maintaining it and continuing its function as it was created. And at the same time, real estate is used and has been used, especially nowadays, as a form of wealth generation. So it's this conflict, because I come back. My background, not background, but I come from Poland, and I was growing up during the socialism or communism era, where housing was distributed based on needs. So let's say a family who may have been unemployed with 3 kids would be assigned housing that is much more bigger, let's say, or valued much more than the CEO of a large corporation or large organization that is potentially creating millions of dollars, because money or wealth was not distributed based on contribution, but it was distributed based on need. So the family with 3 kids will have higher need or for bigger housing or accommodation than single person, regardless that one family may not have financial contribution to community as much as that one brilliant scientist, let's say, or business person. So the challenge with that way of distributing wealth is that it doesn't motivate necessarily people to be more creative, to get up earlier, to work harder, to make more contribution. The only motivation is their own ethical consideration, their own value system, their own what am I bringing to it. But that's being quickly diluted when you're surrounded with people who are cutting corners and slacking away. And actually, I remember times where I was sharing that with my partner recently. I remember time when I was working at this huge business, employing hundreds of people. And 90% of people came by the train or bus. And I remember them in the morning running towards the building, to the entrance. And why did they run? Because they had this time card that they needed to put into time machine, put a lever to stamp what time they arrived at the work. And they all had to arrive, let's say, before 8 a.m. And if they were late, they were penalized. So everybody was running from the bus or the train to get there before 8 a.m. The minute they stamped their card, they stopped. They sat down, they started talking to each other, they went to the washroom, they started shaving, taking shower. They were not working at all. And entire day was like that. They were just slacking away. Maybe there was 2 hours of effective work. And again, at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m., when the time is to finish work, everybody was already dressed up, waiting at the door, but not leaving because they're waiting till 4 o'clock. And the minute the clock showed 4 o'clock, they stamped and ran again to the train because they wanted to get home quickly. Their value, and if someone in that organization actually started working at 8 a.m. and work efficiently till 4, that person was criticized, that person made fun of, that person was pushed away because he was challenging the existing and kind of societal agreement that you're going to be paid regardless how much you work. So doesn't make sense. You're not motivated to be working harder, to be more creative. So that's the challenge with the this wealth distribution that is based on societal agreements and needs, because it's not motivating. And then we have our Western, let's say, situation right now, where people who create wealth get wealth. We have Jeff Bezos, we have Tesla, we have Facebook creators, amazing, very creative people, and the wealth is beyond their capacity to even enjoy it, really. Where those who are working in the organization and creating something else that is not financially necessarily measurable, like the examples I gave you, alternative health or environmental situations. You can't measure value of what David Suzuki is creating or Dalai Lama is contributing to the society. Yet they will never be rewarded financially for their contribution, because their contribution is not necessarily measurable in financial ways. So both systems have their strengths and both systems have their weaknesses. How do we merge? How do we create a new system that rewards people for their contribution, motivates them to get up early in the morning and work hard and be creative and take risks and not be compensated with cash, with money on. And that's the challenge. And again, as I said before, I do not have an answer, but it's an invitation for all of us to rack our brains and be creative and come up with something. How do we work together? How do we measure someone's contribution if it's not measured by value, financial value that they bring to joint venture?
Well, that's where I feel I am so deeply in awe of consciousness within me that's grown. And I think that's where the key is. What I've learned is that if we are taking the time to work with our breath, if we're taking the time to do methodologies to offer the community, and anybody who's watching, you can always go to my page. I'm doing my best every day, other than a full-time schedule with 2 amazing sons doing their bachelor's in music and working full-time, to put out the methodologies of the last 40, I'm gonna be 44 years this year, 44 years of my life. I want to put it out. And I was thinking, when I did a lot of these events, when I came into my samadhi body, I never needed to worry because everything just fell into place. So I'm really trying to hold space for the amount of wealth that's within me, and then balance it with all the desires and needs that I meet moment to moment, and being a more loving person. I feel, there's so many methods that you've learned, Andrew. I think reflective and sharing the light we can share the methods of joint venture. We can share where you're going to travel next. I mean, you're going to go to Dubai, you're going to go to all these other wonderful places and get that beautiful wisdom out, what you're experiencing, and how these, nectars and nuggets of treasure that we can also see and grow with can contribute to our mindset, can contribute to a better way of coming together as a community and trusting in that transformation. But ideally, my gift in reflecting you is knowing the no mind. And the time I found that was in 2011, the first time I did Osho Dynamic. I had done meditation for years, and not everybody comes to the state of samadhi with awareness, because I was in samadhi, but I was unaware fully of what my mind was actively through samadhi. So the important thing is to get to know the mind, to become more of the observer of the mind through breath, but using these methodologies, whatever I can share, and that's what continues to come every day, is how to hammer your energy back to yourself so that you can observe the mind and reflectively show up with those people who are in alignment to bettering themselves and serving. And we have enough here in the community with Conscious Living Radio. BlisstOut Network's already up to good numbers. I just want to keep putting out content at the level that we can realistically, and then continue to flow with how this thing grows, because you have a wealth of wisdom that we all need. I have people that approach me about building. So Jay Kidd just came to my store and he's like, well, Leanne, I see what you're doing and you've helped me so much in your network. How can I provide my hands to build? Because I know how to build. And I was just watching and observing source energy and saying, thank you, because people are showing up. And the whole idea is to show up. And you have a wealth of wisdom. And I just want to make sure I continue to show up, and I keep, picking your mind on these things, like how to structure a joint venture well, so that, say, somebody who, like you said, is in a lower income bracket, you're here at a different income bracket. How do we do this so that when the egos come together, because the world has that ego, or there's a weakness of the mind that keeps showing up, how to show us how to be more presently here and grow in love and to build a community of love?
Yeah. So how do we do that? I think the first question when two people, two organizations or more get together inspired by a common project is to actually write down what are the goals, why are we, what do we want to achieve, what is the purpose and vision of this relationship, this venture that we want to create. And let's say the vision is to inspire our community to be more spiritually driven or heart driven than money driven. Let's say that's our goal. So now the next step would be to have a discussion and see who or which organization, what kind of resources they have that they can bring or contribute to this project, to this vision, to this purpose. And then it's very essential to have agreements that specify who is going to do what, when, how, where the resources going to come from. Sometimes money is needed. Let's say in our case, we create an event with Deva Primal, and the event requires a venue that requires money to be spent. There is marketing, there is flying. We have events with Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, before he passed away, with Tony Robbins. Sometimes those type of events, Dalai Lama, those type of events require hundreds of thousands of dollars ahead of time. Who is going to do that? Why? How is that money going to be secured? And what if there is no profit? What if there's loss? All those agreements, all those discussions have to be created before the next steps. Because what I see quite often in our community is there is this beautiful passionate project. Oh my God, we're going to create this beautiful retreat center, and we're going to have our community, and we're not going to charge money. We're going to, anyone who wants to grow, anyone who wants to be inspired will be invited, and they will pay as much as they want, and when they want, and if they want. Beautiful. And unfortunately, those details are not being addressed clearly enough. And I see lots of those projects going down, lots of people being hurt, lots of people, lots of friendships being broken, and passion being diluted and to resentment. So the after we create a direction, purpose, vision, what do we want to achieve and why, and then we're agreeing who has what kind of contribution, and then the essential component is to have an agreement, and agreement who is responsible for what, and how we're going to keep that organization, person, or business, to keep the responsibility to remain in this venture as per their agreements. And then there's also a specific list of actions, steps that we're going to take, with timeline, with who is going to do what. So that way we have a map. We are here, we want to get there. What are the turns? What are the blockages? What are the challenges that we have to overcome to get there? And who is going to be leading that? That's another very important. Maybe we can address it as a separate conversation, or now, is to even though it's a communal project, who is actually going to be the one that keeps it all together? Who is the leader? And not, it seems that, again, our society puts more emphasis on a leader. Jeff Bezos is going to make a million times more than his manager of operation, even though the manager of operation may be working harder and be more challenging times. By the way, those numbers are just made up, so don't Google and see how much manager of operation is going to make. But the point is that leaders are being compensated multiple times more than for their idea. So everybody wants to be a leader, but not everybody actually is best to be a leader. Or on the other hand, there are some projects when nobody wants to take this responsibility because I'm going to be blamed if it doesn't succeed. So everybody wants to get the benefits from, especially if there is no money involved. Everybody, oh, I want to be part of it. Oh yes, I want to live in the small housing that is built in the community. Yes, I want to be part of this community. But I don't want to put money behind it. I don't want to necessarily commit to 50, 60 hours a week without being paid. I just want the benefit. I don't want to take responsibility. I don't want to. So those are the essential ingredients of a successful joint venture. Have vision, agree on the resources, who brings what and how, having agreements and steps that are going to take us from where we are to where we want to be.
Well, that sounds like a lot of wonderful things in the half an hour that we have, because I think this is a great intro to shine the light on topics which are about community growth and consciousness. I feel you, and working beside you for so long on many levels of being silent and being telepathic and being astrally connected, I feel like, you're great to work with, and that you have those gifts of wisdom that I'm here to receive, and that I'm also here to shine through, because when I get that download, this is where I need to go. I need to be available to see how to work it out together. And this is where I'm just really learning more and more about that unconditional love that it takes to serve Mother Gaia. And I know that this is what Mother Gaia needs. It really needs us to humble ourselves in all that we are, in the power that we have. I'm grateful for your leadership. I'm also grateful that anybody watching this video, if you're feeling us, my intention is to make, I gave myself a 10-year goal because as Andrew is my teacher, I'm like, realistically, I've seen over the last 10 years what I've been able to do. And so I gave myself a 10-year goal to say, well, I'd like to, in 10 years, to have what I can contribute to my own wellness center in Tiny Home Village. And then I looked at now the steps that I need to take for the next 10 years. Now, how fast that will come, how fast I will learn with people like Andrew and people reach out. I am here to make authentic relationships, grow deeper, and likewise share wonderful methodologies for us to grow deeper together as a community. And I'm sure reflectively, the wisdom and the work that you've done on yourself, Andrew, there's so much to come in you. And I think that'll be another thing that can come through Shine Your Light and community growth is, with all the spirit plant medicine that you've done and the ability to have certain experiences and the ability to know the guidance of Gaia, the earth needs it now.
Thank you. To expand, I don't want to be your teacher. We're teacher and students at the same time to each other. And I don't think Gaia needs us. I think we need Gaia. We need Mother Earth.
Nice.
She is going to be here regardless if we are here, but we will not be here if we destroy the environment to the point where we can't survive. So it is our need and responsibility to take care of Mother Earth, who gave us birth. And if we don't take care of her, we won't be able to sustain living on this planet. So I'm so grateful for your contribution to this conversation, because the future of humanity, the future of our ability to survive, depends on our ability to work together and see and divide the responsibilities and benefits in a different way that has been done over the last few hundred years.
Thank you so much. So listeners, remember, click and share this video, because the messages that we're co-creating consciously is what should be duplicated, I feel, at this point. And it's not that we're looking for fans. We're looking for joint ventures. We're looking for the hungry people that want to work together. We're looking for filling the gaps, just like the breath, that gap of connecting to samadhi. We want to fill gaps together. We want to shine together. Please direct message myself or Andrew if you have any questions about this wonderful Shining Light series, about who we are and how we can contribute together as oneness and one loving family. Andrew, it's been so good to be with you this morning. I love the teacher in you, and I also know that I'm also your teacher in many ways, and I'm humbled by your blessings. We'll sign off with this wonderful sound of Grandmother, I Am the Earth. It's Alea Schaefer. More music, creativity, music, and wellness. Keep yourself loving, beautiful, blissful, and thriving. Thank you, Gaia.